With ideas.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Fasika. Welcome. Today in this video, we're going to talk about university, my university experiences, and some tips for those of you who are applying to university and want to know some tips, some tricks, and whatnot. So if you're interested in knowing more, stay tuned. So to talk about my university experience, so I did my university at University of Toronto. So I went to the St.George campus downtown in Toronto, and I completed my 4-year Bachelor's of Science degree. I did a major in global health and a double minor in environmental studies and diaspora and transnational studies. So that was my whole degree. At the end of the day, I just got a simple honors Bachelor's of Science degree, but I specialized in those named areas. With my university experience, those 4 years really shaped me to be a strong, independent person, because university, I'm not kidding you, it was hard. It was very hard. It was hard for me because I lived away from my parents. It was my first time living abroad and living away from my parents and adjusting to that lifestyle and trying to go to school, support myself, and you know, balance all of what life has. And the school itself, the school that I chose, is one of the prestigious schools known in Canada. It's like around, I think, top 5 schools in Canada, and it was really hard. And the program that I chose, like the sciences in general, was really hard for me because I did not know, but when I started doing sciences at university, I realized that is not my forte. Like, that's not my strong, you know, point in school. But I was already really deep into my degree and all my courses to complete those 4 years that I didn't want to switch it, because I was already like almost done basically, and I had to suffer through those 4 years even though I didn't really like sciences. If I were to go back in time in my high school days where I was applying to university, in hindsight, if I were to ask myself, would I have applied to University of Toronto if I knew what it entailed now, like all of the stuff that I went through? The answer is no.
Oh hell no!
I would not have chosen University of Toronto for my undergraduate degree, only because at the end of the day, it's just a bachelor's degree, and the name itself, it doesn't really matter. In the back of my mind, well, through what my parents were telling me, it seemed like, oh, the name of the school really matters, it's very prestigious, it will land you a good job. No, that doesn't really, it doesn't really aid in anything for your undergraduate bachelor's degree. Like, I was fortunate enough after those 4 years to land a job within my field, but I would not credit that to my degree per se. Like, I feel like landing jobs and all of that stuff is literally how you cater your resume, and mostly like luck and probability. I would not say that my degree landed my job. And when you start a new job, you realize like everyone's coming from different, you know, backgrounds. No one really comes from a high prestigious university. You have people coming from like colleges, you have people coming from different types of streams of background that, you know, a name like University of Toronto won't get you or land you your dream job, to be honest. Well, that's my experience here in Canada. I can't talk about the US, but in Canada, honestly, with a degree of where you got it, it honestly doesn't matter. And that's how I felt in the beginning. In high school, applying to university, a lot of people were telling me, oh, you have to go to University of Toronto. It is like a top prestigious school, very well known, and you will get, you know, good places if you go there. But I feel like that's such a backwards mentality, in the sense that, yeah, it's a good school, it will really mold you in creating skills and, you know, study tactics and all of that stuff, but it's really what really is important when you're choosing a school is a school that can help you mold you into like a good professional, like a good worker in the future in like a job setting. So like a school who has a practicum, a school that has placements, a school who has networks that can land you a job after the 4 years of your education, or an internship or something small that can help you build your career platform. So with my degree at University of Toronto, I had no practicum. I honestly had no work experience throughout those 4 years because I was stressed out. I'm not gonna lie. I was required to take 5 courses per semester in order to graduate on time. However, I couldn't do it. Like, I could not do it. I could not do 5 courses successfully within each semester. Some people can, I give them mad props and mad credit, but for me, nope, I couldn't, and I wouldn't do that to myself because I'd go crazy. So I took 4 courses per semester, and luckily enough, I think I got 2 credits from high school during like taking the IB, so that kind of helped me become on track a bit quicker. But throughout my 4 years, I took 4 courses per semester, and there was a point in which I needed to catch up in credits. So my 2nd and 3rd year, every summer, for the whole summer, I took summer courses just to catch up on credits because I knew I was not going to place myself in a position where I had to take 5 courses. Like I wouldn't be able to successfully do that. Like I said, with my university experience, if I were to go back in time, I wouldn't have gone to University of Toronto because of the lack of exposure it had given me to, you know, a professional setting, so to work and to jobs. Also because it was really big. So University of Toronto, especially the downtown campus, it is huge, and especially if you're in like the general sciences in the first year, like life sciences, you have like mandatory courses you have to take, so like chemistry, biology, mathematics, physics, and all of these science courses that are prerequisites for you to, you know, go into your special, you know, major, which mine was global health. So in those prerequisites, you have around 700 to 1,000 students in one classroom, and it's like a theater setting, and there's no way you can create a bond with your professors or TAs, and it just becomes very intimidating. And it's just a very big campus, and it's just so big in general that I just felt so small and helpless because I wasn't good in sciences. So I tried to help myself because it was so big, and I was really shy in the first year. And that's something in hindsight, like when looking back at it, if I were to pick a school, I would pick a small school where the professors know their, you know, students, where the TAs are welcoming, that would support you and, you know, guide you and all of that stuff. So having gone to a university that is so huge, it was really hard for me to create a connection to any professors, to be honest. It was in my last year, the 4th year, where I had to have references for me to apply to graduate school. So the 4th year I applied to grad school, which I ended up not doing, but I had to find references for me when applying to grad school. So I was really screwed because I made 0 connections to any professors. I knew I had one in the back of my mind, and I knew she would like help me, but I would also take her off guard, basically, because I never built a bond with her from the beginning for her to have an understanding of my, you know, post bachelor's degree life, and we didn't have that connection. So when asking her, she was shocked that I like wanted to ask her as a reference, because obviously the path that I wanted to go and pursue was public health as a master's degree. And for her, she was my minor, so it was a random Caribbean women and gender studies course that had nothing to do with public health. But that course that I took was a small class that was comprised of like 15 students. So I was able to easily like get to know the prof at a surface level, and it really helped me out. But I needed 2 references, so the other references I was basically screwed because I knew no other professor, especially within like the field of masters that I wanted to do. I knew no one, and another prof that came back to my head, and I kid you not, it was one of my elective courses. It was like Canadian geography, I booked a meeting with him via email. I said, hey, like, is it possible to, you know, have a one-on-one with you and just address some of my concerns, and I have some questions for you. And he was like, no problem, you can meet at this and that time. And I was like, okay, this is going well. This guy is going to be completely shocked that I'm asking him for a reference letter, because prior to this day, he has never seen my face. Like, I've never seen him like face to face. Like, I've been to his class, but the class is huge. It's probably like 300 students. So if he just looks at me in this meeting, it's like a brand new face to him. So I come into this meeting with, you know, I had high hopes, you know, hoping for the best, but expecting the worst, that he wouldn't, you know, accept me to write a reference for me. But nonetheless, I went to this office hours, and, you know, I talked to him about my future goals post, you know, bachelor's, and I had, you know, mentioned my interest in doing my master's degree, and I was wondering if he could be, you know, my reference. And like, he was a super nice guy, so I don't think he would have said no to anyone, even someone who never showed up to his class. So he was like, obviously I'll help you. Like, I voiced out how, you know, I wasn't able to make a connection with any profs because of how big this university is, and, you know, my dreams and whatnot and aspirations at that time was to pursue my master's degree. And I feel like I was at a point of like, not begging, but I just seemed desperate. I was like, please, like, I'd really appreciate if you know, wrote this reference letter for me. It would really help me out in the future, and I'd really appreciate it. And he said, yeah, for sure, I'll write it for you, no problem. Is there anything that you'd want me to state, blah, blah, blah? And I was just like, yes. But all in all, the story is to tell you that if you went to a small school where your classes weren't as huge as mine, you would create bonds and connections with professors from the beginning, like from first year. So you would have an array of like professors to choose from to write reference letters, or to know them in a personal level, and to know their like research and all of that stuff, to help them out if they needed like extra, you know, assistant or TAs, or to become a TA. At my school, it was none of that. Like, it was survival of the fittest, and I didn't have that opportunity. So in hindsight, I wish I went to a smaller school. It would have, you know, benefited me as a person, to have that connection and networks with all the different types of professors that I have. So yeah. Another negative thing about University of Toronto is that I feel like the tests that these professors or whoever makes them, maybe the TAs, I don't know who, the test that they make is like, it's extremely hard for no reason. Like, I don't understand how it can be so hard when the concept you're teaching is like understandable. I'm not saying that the test should be, you know, a clear open book and, you know, just easy to write, but the test that I was given was, some of them I would say is the sciences, because I was not good in the sciences, to be honest, and they really try to test you if you know your shit, and I clearly did not know my shit like that. Like, I was good in mathematics, like I did good in calculus, I did good in all of the like written essays aspect of my like global health degree and my environmental studies. Like, I was good in like the humanities writing area, but when it came to like sciences, like chemistry, biology, I kid you not, those tests were like written in a different language. Like, it was so hard for me. Like, it got to a point where my mom was praying for me every day. Like, I hope this girl passes this course, passes this test. Like, it was just stressing me out, because I felt like the more I studied and the more I put into a certain course, I wouldn't get the grade for the test. Like, it would just piss me off, and I was just radiating like frustration, because you're putting in so much time, so much dedication, you know, so many hours in the library to then like barely pass a freaking course or a freaking test, and it's just really like upsetting to you. And I believe that the tests that U of T give is really for them to like trick you, or like to really like make sure you know your stuff. Like, it's a whole different ball game. I don't know how to explain it, but they have tricky, you know, questions and tricky examinations, but I guess at the end of the day it's to really test your knowledge. But like, I understand some of the concepts. I understand most of the concepts, so I don't understand why I wasn't like hitting those questions. Like I felt like they worded things wrong. It would be like very vague and like, I don't know, it was a struggle for me, especially those, you know, major science courses in the first year. But I can't do anything from that anymore. Like I graduated, we thank God. But yeah, I feel like the tests were like overly, you know, hard for no goddamn reason. But yeah, another thing about UofT that I feel like is kind of crazy, so when you are applying for like a specific, you know, program, you have the option to specialize in a specific, you know, field of study. So like I said, I majored in global health, and I had to double minor, so I had to pick 2 minors. So I chose environmental studies and diaspora and transnational studies. So those were my 2 separate minors, and then I had a major. So in UofT, you are given the option in which you have to specialize. So I could have specialized in global health. However, if I specialized in global health, they take in your first year marks. I think it's like chemistry, biology, and all these things, and you have to meet a certain average. I did not meet that average because, like I said, sciences were not my forte. Like I was struggling, so I didn't meet that top mark for specializing in public health or global health, and that is what I wanted. I just wanted to do like one simple specialization in global health. That's really what I really wanted to do. However, I wasn't able to do that, and since I wasn't able to specialize in global health, the other option I had was to have 2 majors, so like a double major. And I felt like having a double major, like I thought it was kind of pointless to have just 2 majors, like 2 focuses of studies, where the third option was to have a major and 2 minors. So I was like, hey, I have the option to have 2 different minors where I could have a taste of 2 different fields of studies. So that was my, you know, logic in the beginning. So I was just like, why not have 2 minors? Like I could have a taste of like, you know, everything. So at that time I really enjoyed environmental studies. I took some environmental studies courses and I did really well in them. So I was like, why not just have a minor in that? And then the other minor that I had was diaspora and transnational studies. The way about how I took that minor was like, it was funny. I was just like looking at all the different types of fields of studies that UofT has to provide, and I was just like, I just literally need to pick one that hopefully will get me through this 4 years and, you know, help me boost my GPA, because the sciences were killing me. I was scrolling down and then I found out there was a minor called diaspora and transnational studies, and I was like, yo, I am a diaspora itself, why not just take that course? So one summer, like I just took the introduction to that course and I just fell in love. Like I loved the professors and I loved everything about it. I loved like the videos we watched Coming to America in class. Like I just thought it was super cool. I had a lot of things to say, a lot of like experiences to share because of my, you know, experiences living in multiple different countries, and how it really I was able to relate to the course in all different types of ways, and it really helped me, you know, boost my GPA, because like I was interested. I was like, yo, this is about me basically, and it just like put 2 and 2 together about like my upbringings and about certain things that I had questions about, and I was able to have answers through these courses, which was amazing. So that was good on me. I picked a field of study which applied to me in my personal life. So I was like, hopefully it will go well, which it did. So I'm happy about that. So even though like UofT has like a strange, like you can't just have one major and that's it. Like most universities, you have that option of just majoring in one course. You either have to specialize or have a double major, or a major or 2 minors. Even though that's viewed as a negative, because you can't just pick one specialty or one, you know, field of study. It helps you have like a bigger picture of everything. So when I finished my whole degree and finished up my like whole 4 years, I realized, hey, like global health connects with like environmental certain things in the environment has impacts to public health. And certain things about like, you know, diasporas and transnational studies and all of that stuff has impact to public health. So I was able to like pick 3 different fields of studies. At that time I didn't know like would have created such impact, but it all correlated in some way or form, which was amazing. So even though I said that's a negative, I'd also view it as a positive, because you have insight to different types of fields and you can see the connection that they all have together, which is amazing. Now I'm gonna talk about some tips for you, youngsters, you younglings going into university. So one of my tips that I have here is know what you want to study from the beginning. Like if you need to take a gap year, you go take your gap year. No one's stopping you. No one cares if you're taking a gap year. I feel like people who take gap years really know what they want, and they have done their intensive research on the school, that they are prepared for university. Why go into like a university straight after high school when you don't know what you like, you don't know what you're good at, and you don't know what you want to study, and you don't know anything about the school? You're just gonna throw yourself into a situation where you're not gonna succeed. And keep in mind, you're paying money. I don't know who's funding your school, but you or your parents or whoever, they're paying money to help you go to school. So if you don't know what you want to do, why waste your time? Why waste your money? So if you need to take a gap year, take a gap year. Do your research, intensively research your school. So know if it's a big school, if it's a small school, know if you want to go to a big school. Like just test the waters. If you don't know these situations, go to the school itself. Like if you're applying to some schools within your city, literally go to the University of Toronto or University of Calgary, whatever you want to apply to, and test it out. Like walk within the campus. Do you see like there's a majority of people? Like do you think it's a small type of vibe? Ask people who are already in that school, question some of your friends who have been to that school. Ask them about their experience. So one thing that I did was I messaged a girl that I knew that went to that school, and I think it was in her second year. So I had messaged her saying, hey, I got accepted to University of Toronto. I don't know what happened, but my camera just froze. But basically what I was talking about is that I knew a girl that was at University of Toronto at the time that I was applying, and I got accepted at University of Toronto, and I messaged her. I was just like, oh, hey, I saw you are at University of Toronto, it's your second year. What do you have to say about the school? And she straight up told me, don't do it. The school is hard. She was doing architecture at that time, and she just I'd recommend going into a smaller school, a school where you could really boost your GPA and do good for yourself academically and also professionally, in the sense of a school that can help provide you with a practicum or an internship. And I never took her advice seriously. So my tip is that ask a lot of people, and if people are saying the same things, take that into consideration. She said that, the friend that I messaged that was going to University of Toronto at that time. And when I googled reviews about University of Toronto's and students forums and all these things, people were saying don't do it, just go to Ryerson, go to a small school where you could really create a bond and an impact in the school, and do your masters in such big schools like University of Toronto. So for your bachelor's, honestly, in Canada, it does not matter where you're going to university for your bachelor's degree. You could go anywhere, and then if you have the high enough GPA, you can apply for your master's anywhere. You can have a very good master's degree at University of Toronto. So like I said, do your research. If you need more time to do your research, if you think your 12th grade is too much work, and you need more time, take your time. Just take your time, because if you don't take your time, you're gonna mess up your experience for the next 4 years. So one gap year in comparison to 4 years of not knowing what you want, what you want to study, or the school you want to go to, and forcefully putting yourself in a situation, that's not smart. So take your time and really understand what you want, because you're the one getting that degree, no one else is, okay? Another tip that I said, something that I never did, is build that relationship with your professors. So in the first year, if you feel your classes are too huge, don't let that stop you. So what it did for me, it really made me shy and it made me nervous as a person, that I didn't want to make any bond with no professors throughout my 4th year. And then when I needed them for a reference letter, I was just scrambling. So make that connection from the beginning. Like, let it be a TA, let it be a professor, just ask questions. There's no harm. If you feel like you look stupid in front of them, who cares? You're just doing it to better yourself and better your future. So, talk to your professors and make that bond. Another thing that I have here is that I wrote down, it's not that serious, it's not the end of the world. So this is very important. So when you're in school and you feel like you're not performing up to par and you're not doing so well, and let's say you failed a quiz or you failed a test, like, it's not that serious. You can beat yourself to it, go ahead, but what point is it? I feel like you really need to tackle the process, like tackle your study methods, tackle the process rather than tackling yourself like as a person, like, oh, I'm not worthy to be at this school, I'm not smart enough, blah, 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 blah. Like, there's no point in doing that. Just tackle the process, figure out what study techniques work for you and what don't. So if you realize that, you're a visual learner, map things out. If you realize that, you're one to like remember things through rewriting or like through storytelling, do whatever fits you, and understand the different types of study processes and what best fits you. So like I said, it's not the end of the world. People fail in different things, and that you failing really is like a test. Like, how you react to a failure is what will make or break you. You can dwell about it for like a week or two, but what good does that give you? Like, it doesn't do anything for you. Take that failure and really analyze what went wrong. If there's certain questions that you got wrong, go back to the TA and ask, like, why are these questions wrong? What didn't I know? Like, take that as a learning lesson. Maybe there's something in you're studying that's not really working for you. So everyone has failures, like everyone fails in life. Let it be a test, let it be like relationships, let it be something. It's not the end of the world, so don't beat yourself to it. I see this with a lot of emphasis because I took that for granted. Like, if I failed a quiz, I would literally beat myself to it. Like, I would dwell upon it, like I would cry about it, and it's not that deep. At the end of the day, you will get that degree whether you take 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, take summer school or not. You will get that degree. So don't dwell upon it and don't take tests so seriously. Okay, so another tip that I have is research the different types of events or different types of association your so-called future school or university has. That can really create a very big impact into your university social life and making friends. So if you realize like you want to be part of like an African Student Association, research upon it. If your university has it, if they do, when do they do their meetings, go to their different events and all their different socials, meet more people. You can meet more people through that, and it's like, I think it's a good way to like really socialize and like get to know different people with the similar interests as you. It doesn't need to be typically like an African Student Association. It could even be like an environment student union, like anything that you have passion for. You should really like look it up into the school website and see if the school provides it. Like, if you're into Model United Nations and debating, let's say, check if your school has a little club for your little MUN lovers, and you could just participate in those events, and it can really create an impact into not only your social life, but you could also it's like a source of happiness and a source of get away from school. So if school is being so stressful, you can get away from that stress to like different types of associations that you hold deeply into your heart. So I'd recommend looking into the different associations and the different events that your school provides for the students, and hopefully if you enjoy participating in those events, you can soon build up and be part of the committee member. So that happened to me. I was really interested into like the African Student Association, so I was a member, and then I became into the committee itself, and I feel like it was a lot of value added. I met a lot of people from different parts of Africa as well, and it was nice to meet my fellow Africans. Well, that's all I have to say. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this video. It was a lot of me rambling, but if you decide to go to university, if you don't, it's up to you. But if you do end up going to university and you take my tips and use them, I hope they do benefit you, and I hope you learned from some of the mistakes that I did when applying. I'd really like to emphasize that it does not matter if you go to a prestigious school in your undergrad. In Canada, I can't speak about the United States, but in Canada, your bachelor's really doesn't mean much. So it's okay if you go to a small school. I think it's even better if you go to a smaller school where you build that connection. Funny enough, I got accepted to all the schools that I had applied to, and all the schools that I applied to had given me a first year scholarship of a lump sum amount of money to help me in my first year. So I remember Queen's University, McMaster University, Ryerson University, York University, and UofT Scarborough. So those 5 universities gave me a scholarship for the first year of a lump sum of money to help me start with, you know, university itself, because it can be expensive. However, in the back of my mind, through family and through, you know, talk, I was really pressured in going to UofT downtown St. George campus. Even though they did not offer me no type of financial aid, I decided to, you know, do it. And I feel like there were multiple signs that told me don't go to this school. The friend that I messaged, the research that I've done, I realized it was not for me. The fact that they didn't give me financial aid, it was like a sign from God, like, yo, they're not even trying to help you out. I felt like there were multiple signs that I just brushed off. So like I said, a lesson learned: do your research, really do your research, and see what school best fits for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like to see more videos like this, or if you want to see more of me, like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.